Hi, everyone. Welcome back again to the show, the Iconist podcast, where the icon is. And we will get to that in a minute. First of all, I'm one of your hosts, Barry 3D for Deep Dark Delicious. You know how the joke goes. It never stops. Booyah. Hey. And on my side, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, the traveling DJ, the vagabond who brings music from all over, from top to bottom, north, south, east, and west. Hey, I'm from Montreal. I just go left, right, straight, and don't back up. The one and only, my cousin, co-host.
Talk about that. DJ Rod C.
DJ Rod C.
Yes. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Iconist, where the icon is. You thought I was going to say it. I normally do. I ain't going to say nothing.
No, not yet. We got to do a round table. First of all, I mean, you probably, if you're watching the show, you know who you're probably talking about and wondering why. But here we go. So first of all, big shout out to our man, the one and only who makes us look so pretty. And if you need any digital artwork, you make sure to reach out to him. The one and only, as I know him, Jason Reese. But Rod will say,
J Bird Digital Art.
J Bird Digital Arts.
Jay, what's up, Jay? What's up?
Every video, Jay's like showing us a whole lot of love. So, Jay, we always gonna kick that love right back to you. And hey, if you're not sure where to find his credentials, end of the video, end of the audio, look it up. You'll see the link. J Bird Digital Arts. That's the man that hooks us up.
Let's go.
That's one, two. Please like, subscribe, and share. Every click helps us out, make the channel grow, so we can keep doing what we love to do, and we love to do it for you. So that's another thing to keep in mind. We also have a coffee page if you want to do a one-time tip. If you want to do more than that and subscribe, we have a Patreon page. The links are down below. A Patreon page, and you can help support the channel, help the channel grow. Any little bit is appreciated, and we have Patreon exclusive videos on there. We have more coming, so when you guys join up, you'll see more, behind the scenes talk and real talk of what we get down to instead of what's on the show. We give it a little bit of a different flavor. We call those the Iconist Hot Shots. That's right, right off the cuff. Yes. Plus, can't forget a couple of places. One, for anyone who's watching the video, you probably see this beautiful statue behind me of Ironman, and I kind of gave it away. That's what we're talking about today. But am I? We're going to find out. And this beautiful statue, and I got this as a birthday gift for my family, and I got this over at Wow Comics out in Kitchener.
Let's go.
They don't do just books. They got it all. Tell Wes, Ramon, Chris, and Sydney that Barry and Rod from the Iconist podcast say hi when you give them a round, pass through, as we like to say. And two, if you're in Montreal, head to the South Shore. Nice drive over by the Distrant. You can't go wrong. And before you get there, make a stop on Tash Road, get yourself some steamies at Belle Province, and then stop over at Check Swings Sports and Comics on the South Shore. That's our old stomping ground, and I'm going to be back there when you mean, Barry? I'm going to be back there August 26th, 27th. I am going there with a touch of gray, right? The comedy troupe I'm a part of, Touch of Gray Matter. We got our videos here on YouTube. We're doing a live show, fundraiser, great cause, great laughs. Two special guests coming in from Montreal, going to be on the show. And that's me, Barry 3D, Thomas Patrice, right? Dave Sokolowski and Zolf Ali. And we're coming to you August 26th, August 27th. That's a Friday night and that's a Saturday night. And we're doing 2 shows per night. Get your tickets right. So we got 2 shows. We'll show on Saturday at 7 o'clock, show at 10. That's Friday. Show at 7 o'clock, and show at 10. That's on Saturday. So for all my people in Montreal, all the people I went to Centennial with, people I worked with at Jean Coutu 251. You understand that? All the people I remember me from Chi-Chi's. Remember, right? Woo! Come on down. People at McDonald Cartier, come on down. People at Knowles Thunderdome, Checkers, Cats, Horoscope, Kiss, all those clubs that we used to go to and party at, come on down. If you remember the Spectrum, come on down. These are all, I'm calling out everybody. If you remember the Montreal Forum, come on down, right? Come on down for some good laughs, give to a good cause, support the Montreal scene, and we're coming back. And then, after the show, let's go over to the Bonkeys and get ourselves some poutines. Not poutine. It's poutine and not poutine, but that's the way we say it back in Montreal. Yeah, right on. If you want to keep up with everything I've just talked about, very simple. Barry3d.com. links to this show, everything I'm doing live, anything I'm going. I got shows coming up July 31st. So anyone listening to this show at the same time, guess what? Later on, because this show is going to be coming out tomorrow, as in, when I say tomorrow, it's coming out Tuesdays on video. Tuesday night, I'm going to be part of BattleCom once again with Paul Ash, comedy game show. And I'm bringing the heat this time. I got my 3 subjects and ready to go. So remember, BattleCom, here I come. Plan to take the win this time, hopefully. That's gonna be at 8:00, the Toronto time, so to speak. So jump online. That's live on Facebook and Twitter. I think they do it, but and YouTube. It's live on YouTube and Facebook. So yes, Barry 3D BattleCom. Come and see me battle right with Paul Ash and then Erica and the rest of the crew, and vote for me. Support a brother. As I said, Barry 3D live. Yeah. I think I covered everything I needed to cover. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, man. Jimmy England.
English.
That's right. I keep saying English, but it's Jimmy England. Very funny comedian. Has his podcast, Back to the Balcony. Microphone on the red background. Show him some love. I'm on there. A couple episodes. Rod, hit me up. Where can they find you?
Listen, you can find me on the World Wide Web. As I always say it like that. You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C. You can find me there. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. Listen, I do a show every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen, I give you a full vibe of fun, different type of music, soca, R&B, hip-hop, house. Listen, wherever the vibe takes us, we go for that ride. Listen, also, since this is coming out this Tuesday, coming out this Saturday, I'll be a part of a raid. Basically, that's what they call just the terminology with the young folks calling it raids. So I'll be just going, and it ain't that. Ain't that raid. ain't doing that type of raid. But we're just raiding and just having a whole fun called like end-to-end bangers. So basically, I'm going to be playing from 7 o'clock to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen, I'll be just coming on and just giving you the hits, giving you the bangers. That's what I'm bringing for you. Listen, we're going to have a lot of fun. So make sure that you find me on Twitch. Come true, holler out and say, yo, I saw you. I came from the Iconus world. Yes, welcome in. Please, welcome to. Because someone get somebody to drink. Can someone get this person a drink?
Right.
It's all virtual drink. It's all virtual.
If you want an extra shot, you turn around and say, hey, Rod, play Saturday Love.
Right. And, it was between you and me a week and a half ago. Yeah, I know we were having a conversation. And I played it later on that day. And I play Saturday Love, and I'm like, I can't even text this guy in time to say, hey, I'm on right now. I'll play your song. Oh, well, I got to tell you next week. Bye.
See, that's what happens when you don't tune in. I missed out on that week, right? And hopefully I got my new gaming system, so I'm looking to get on Twitch myself. Nice. And I know it's been a little bit delayed. I talked about it, but I'm going to get to it, and I got a move coming up. So, hopefully by the next couple of weeks, or hopefully beginning in August, I'll be on there doing my thing.
There you go.
But y'all be notified when it is done.
There you go. Let's do it. All right. So Barry, now, today
brings us
Iconus. To Iconus is Barry. What is Iconus? What is the icon?
The name is Iconus. Is really the icon. Icon is, and today's the icon is Ironman. Ironman. Now, before you all say, hold up, Barry, it's already been casted. We know everything about Ironman there is to know. I got that. And generally on the show, we bring you the hidden gems on this show. We don't bring you the blatantly obvious that's been covered a lot of times. Nothing wrong with that. You got to know the main characters before you get to the smaller characters. So why'd I choose Iron Man? And I mean, for those watching, you see here, I got my Iron Man shirt. I got my Essential Iron Man book, volume 3. I got my Iron Man statue behind me. I'm Iron Man'd out. Now, I know Rod looked at me half a second, like, Iron Man, don't, out. No. We are not talking about Tony Stark. Right? But still talking about Iron Man. And you're going to say, who? Yeah. Right on, Scooby, I hear you. And we will bring it back. We are talking about a guy, and his name is Eddie March.
Eddie March, like he walks March in the 3rd of March.
His physio is good, man.
Eddie March. The Ides of March? No, nothing like that. No.
Right? He pretty well could be. So let me tell you who Eddie March is. So Eddie March is a boxer. Now, what does a boxer have to do with Ironman? Listen and find out. Thank you for tuning in. Here we go. Eddie March first made his appearance in Ironman Volume 1 way back in January of 1970 in issue number 21 and 22, Volume 1 of Ironman. Now, there was Tales of Suspense. Then Ironman got his own ongoing series.
Right.
And in there, what was happening, as we always know, Tony Stark has a heart problem. Now, I know they make it kind of a metaphor because his heart's failing and all that, but they also make him like he's a cold and callous person, henceforth why Tony doesn't have a heart. He's like the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz, right? And at this time, Tony Stark went through a couple of battles. He had to get an operation for his heart. They repaired the damage to his heart with an experimental procedure. Fine. He couldn't be Iron Man anymore because any stress would probably cause that tissue, that mesh that was on his heart to fail, and then the heart would not be any good, could die. And he really wanted to live. He had some things he wanted to live for. He had a person he wanted to live for, and kept himself distant because of his heart condition and being Iron Man at the same time. Right. So issue 21 starts off with a guy in the ring. Got this brother in the ring, and he's boxing, and he's boxing. He's getting some licks. He's pop, pop, pop. He's taking some hits. And then he envisions himself, right, as Iron Man. So at one point, they start drawing it like Iron Man is in the ring boxing against his opponent, and his opponent's beating him down, and he's losing. So Eddie's losing, and then Eddie pictures himself as Iron Man. He's like, what would Iron Man do? And he gets up and he starts fighting back. And during there, he has a thought saying, hey, you know, how cool it is that I call myself Eddie Iron Man March. That was his nickname. You understand? Like Mike Tyson had his nickname. He called him the Hydrant because he was short and built like a fire hydrant. Tough. Iron Mike Tyson, right? We all heard the name. Henceforth, Eddie was Eddie Iron Man March. Back in 1970, issue 21, first appearance. And that's how it opens on the page. And boxing away, and he comes back, and rounding blows takes down his opponent.
Completely. So here's the scenario. I mean, all you can imagine that, like Barry said, you open up the comic, and all you see is Iron Man in a boxing ring. And you're like, even I was like, what's going on here?
Right.
But then, like you said, you start to realize it's Eddie. Eddie, basically, as you said, his name is Eddie Iron Man March.
Right.
All he had to do, he needed that motivation. Because he said, I can't quit. His corner man, his coach is telling him, listen, kid, I don't think it's good, kid. I don't know if I'm gonna try to do the Rocky one, but kid, you can't do it, kid. We're gonna have to go in the tower. No, man. No, I could do it. I could do it, man. I could do it. No, kid. No. And then back of his head, like saying, listen, Iron Man is my idol. Like Iron Man won't quit. Iron Man quit. If Iron Man won't quit, I won't quit.
Right.
And that was the major deciding factor for Eddie to come back in that particular round. And as Barry said, beat the living. Are
you good?
Are you good? So it was wonderful watching that, and you're just seeing that basically this guy is pulling from within himself. And you know what? I need that motivation. His motivation.
Yes.
Iron Man.
Because
also,
go no. Let me go. You in the roll. Go.
Listen, he's doing that, and you'll find out. And Barry, I'm sure Barry is about to segue into that. There is another reason why he was doing that as well, because he got wind that another particular idol of his was in the arena, was in the crowd. Yes. So that was another motivation. Like I said, I can't let Iron Man down, and I can't let the man that hired Iron Man, but again, to everyone, they know Iron Man is the personal bodyguard for Tony Stark. Anyway, like Tony Stark I heard Tony Stark is supposed to be in the building. I can't throw in the towel. Coach, just let me, just give me one more round. Give me one more round. And that was when Eddie realized, I got one more round. I got to do it. Because Tony's in the building.
Yes. And what I was going to add is, every athlete to a certain point visualizes their victory. You always hear
Yep.
visualize your victory,
Yep.
visualize your dream board and all that. So every
Be the
athlete,
moment.
boxers, they're going to visualize a punch before they throw it. They're going to visualize what is happening. They're going to visualize crossing the finish line. They're going to visualize, making that pass in a Formula One race. They're going to visualize everything they do. And that's what motivates people. You put yourself in that frame of mind. And Eddie visualized himself as Iron Man to come back and take those blows, to kind of disassociate himself from the pain and then just work his way through. And knowing that, Tony Stark is in the audience. Possibility. He wasn't 100% sure yet. He heard from a friend of his that he was supposed to be there. So he turned down, wins. Heavyweight champion of the world, wins. Right? Woo! Press, you know how it normally goes. The press swarm the ring, and this takes place in New York. He does his press thing and all that. He leaves the ring. He sits down. He goes, yeah, Doc, I took some hits. I'm not sure how am I holding up. So clearly he knew there was something a little bit off. Right?
Yeah.
And the doctor told him, he's like, hey, Eddie, we know that you have a blood clot in your brain. You got lucky this time. If you get hit one more time, it could cause that blood clot to move and cause you to die right away. And Eddie's got a very lighthearted personality. And he goes, all right, well, you know what? I went on a high. He shower changes, walks up the locker room. The press is all there trying to talk to him. And he goes, hey, guys, great fight, da-da-da. He goes, when's the next one? He goes, well, I'm also going to announce my retirement. Why are you retiring, Eddie? Well, I've done what I had to do, and I'm retiring on top. He never lets out that he has a blood clot.
Correct.
Right? He keeps that to himself. And I mean, a lot of people, let's be real. You keep your medical conditions to yourself. You wouldn't just walk out and say, well, I'm leaving like this because I've got a blood clot. You're just going to say, well, I've done what I had to do. I'm out. That's a very personal thing. Deuces. So that's what Eddie does, amongst all the people now freaking out and everyone out back then, no cell phones. They're all running to the phone booths and phoning in the story saying, oh, Eddie March just quit boxing. He just retired. He announced last fight he won. It was amazing. And he announced his retirement. Happy Hogan calls out his name, Eddie. And he's like, hey, man, you made it. Glad you made it. Now, why do they know each other? Because Happy Hogan, originally in the comic book, before being Tony's bodyguard, was a boxer. That's right.
Remember, this is the back in the day. So it ain't like science. This. It was right, the sweet science.
He practiced in the sweet science. That's what Happy Hogan did for a long time. So he ran in those calibers of heavyweight champion boxers.
Right.
He wasn't a washout. So this is why he knows him, and then meets him,
Eddie.
And he goes, hey, by the way, a friend of mine wants to meet you. And he's like, oh, and he goes, oh, here's Tony Stark. And Eddie is floored. Like, he's like, oh my gosh, the Tony Stark is here. It's a pleasure to meet you. You're like my second favorite person. And he goes, second favorite? He's like, yeah, don't take no offense. My main person is your personal bodyguard, Iron Man. That's who I look up to, is Iron Man. We share the same name. I envision myself of him. He gives me my resolve, my strength at times when I picture him at certain moments. As for the fight that he just did, I'm all over it, man. Iron Man, he goes, as great as it is to meet you, you're still my number two. Iron Man is my number one. Right. Now, unbeknownst to him, he's not realizing he's talking to the same person. Right? So now we move on a little bit with the storyline. Happy and Tony are talking. Now, at this point, Happy does know that Tony is Iron Man.
Correct.
Right? And having a conversation, he knows everything that his bosses went through. And he says, boss, I know you got to get a replacement to be Iron Man because you can't be Iron Man anymore. And he goes, my other reason I wanted to introduce you to Eddie was because I think he could be a replacement for Iron Man. I trust him. I've known this guy for years. I know his character, the man he is, what he wants to do, how he wants to give back. And Tony thinks about it and says, okay, all right. And that's what I like, is the fact that Happy and Tony have this friendship and relationship that, most time you hear superheroes, they wouldn't let their identities go. And you would hear most of them wanting like, oh, no, it's going to be me. I'll figure it out. And he's like, okay, I'm going to take you at your word. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to have a conversation with the man. Right. And in the middle of the night, Tony makes a, call, says, hey man, Eddie, you're home. I'm going to come over to your place and want to talk some business to you. Goes to his house by himself, gets there. Well, I'll say house. It was in an apartment, right?
Yeah.
And gets there and says, hey, what's going on? He goes, look, here's the deal. My bodyguard, Iron Man, I know you're a big fan of him. I saw what you do in the ring. Happy vouches for you as a person. And what Happy says is good enough for me.
Right.
Iron Man got injured badly, and he's gonna be out for some time. I'm not sure if he's gonna be coming back or not from a couple of fights he had. I need someone to take on the role as my personal bodyguard and wear the armor. Would you do me the honor? And right? And Eddie was like, oh, my heart. Oh, my heart. Don't worry, his heart's good.
It's the big one.
Right. Like Red Fox, rest in peace. He's like, oh, I'm seeing the light. If y'all don't know, Google Sanford and Son.
Yeah.
Right. So Eddie turns around and says, it would be my honor. I would love to do it. Where do I sign up? Now, Eddie does have a thought before saying, yeah, but I got this blood clot. If I take a hit, this could be fatal. But I'd rather die being Iron Man than just sitting here the rest of my days doing nothing.
Correct.
Like he was so into being this person, taking over that role, that he'd rather do it and die, so to speak, fighting than to waste away in his chair. And he had a good life. It's just at that point you think, all right, Eddie, clearly he's not married. So he's got no kids, no girlfriend. It's just him. So he's got no other family that he has to console with. So he made that decision. He kept that secret to himself, goes through it. And then they start training. Cue the montage. Pew, pew, pew. Getting stronger. Getting stronger. That's right. I'm gonna go right there with Rocky because that's how it fit.
Was hilarious.
So Tony teaches him about the Iron Man armor. Tony shows him how to use the Iron Man armor. Tony puts him on the payroll officially as a bodyguard. Gives him a nice penthouse suite on the premises of Stark Enterprises. Right? I think it was Enterprises at the time, or Stark, or International, whatever it was at the time. I know it's retconned so many times. Old memory. So gets there, boom, set. This man turns around, he's trained, he's ready to go. Now, keep in mind how much training, and he said the training was hard. So it shows you the condition that Tony was in, because keep in mind, he was a heavyweight boxer. So he had to work on his fighting style prior to being Iron Man. I mean, just being a boxer. The amount of years he put into fighting and learning how to fight, becoming the heavyweight champion. His cardio, strength training, he's in shape. He just talked to him just a couple of days after, or like the day after, about being that. So it wasn't like he let himself go. It wasn't like it was months of non-training. He just came out of a fight. He's just recovering. He's in top physical condition. And Eddie still said that the training that Tony put him through was hard.
Right.
Wow. So way above,
it gives you a glimpse. Right. It gives you a glimpse of what you're saying, even a good point now that you're saying that, and I'm just going to relate it back to the MCU, because you never really saw how intense they made our live, Robert Downey Jr., Tony work out kind of scenario. But this only proves that Tony Stark has to be in top physical shape, mentally capable to handle whatever the case to be that, that comes to arise on. Like, he's a super genius. He's a brilliant inventor. He's a genius and everything along that line.
Right.
But realizing that, after seeing those clips of what Eddie had to go through, and you said it correctly, now this just gives you a glimpse of understanding that this is what Tony has to do on a weekly basis to keep himself at top performance. He's basically, and you know what? We saw the similar. Well, Bruce did that in was it Superman versus Batman.
Yes.
So you can see him, doing a workout, which to me, even at that time, was perfect. I think you're now showing what a person has to do if they're going to be committed to be a superhero, to take on this role of being a protector or something like that. Listen, you just can't be just sitting around and like saying, "Woo, it's the red phone." Hey, how you doing? We need you out on the road right now. Okay, no problem. Oh, this is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. No. And that's exactly what happened.
And that's what I like. It showed his training, so it showed the whole thing. As I said, cue the montage, because you're figuring it's a Rocky movie, 1970. Come on, boxing movies. I know Rocky's later on. Okay, yes, you don't gotta. I know. So gets there, does the whole thing, and then he teaches him how to use the armor, all the tricks of the armor, everything he needed to do, how the armor had to be powered. So everything, A to Z. So finally, Eddie gets in there, and Eddie's sitting there, man, I can't wait to kind of go on my first mission to be a bodyguard. I hope Mr. Stark's not just giving me a pity job. But really going to call me to do something. And sure enough, he gets the call. like the Backstreet Boys, The Call.
Yeah.
In a call that changed your life.
Right.
And if you have to listen to The Call by Backstreet Boys, listen to the remix. That one's fire. He gets that call, has to go forth, puts on the armor, flies out there because Tony gets tangled up in a case. So Tony's now realizing he doesn't have the stress as Iron Man anymore. He can live a normal life. He starts pursuing the woman that he was actually in love with. And she has her own company. And then this other doctor, because Tony wasn't around there, this other scientist kind of was putting the moves on his woman. Well, we can't say his woman because Tony didn't really make the moves himself.
At that time, exactly.
At the time. So this guy's turned around, and we'll get into him another time. This is why I'm not going to mention too many names. But you find out later on that this guy is the new Crimson Dynamo.
Yep.
He makes a brand new Crimson Dynamo armor, right? Tony hears about some gun smuggling coming in, and he's like, well, I'm going to call out Iron Man. Tony starts to call out, Eddie to be Iron Man to go down there and investigate it. It'd be a good thing to kind of get his feet wet.
Right.
So Eddie gets down there, sees these thugs, because he got the call from this one girl who wanted to, her boyfriend or fiance was working on the boat, was doing the smuggling. She didn't want him to get in trouble. So she kind of called to say, hey, look, I need you guys to stop this. So hopefully get him away from the criminal element. This is how the whole thing unravels. Eddie March shows up, gets in there. Okay, ready to go. Deals with the thugs on the boat. Pop, 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 pop. They're really easy. He's an Iron Man armor. So keep in mind, this is way before War Machine, right? So before you say War Machine was way before War Machine, 1970. Gets in there, deals with the guys. Then there's this one crate that they threw over and it fell off the boat, or they threw it off the boat. So he goes down and gets this crate. He goes, hey, this crate's pretty heavy. He brings the crate back up, opens the crate. All of a sudden, who's in the crate? Bum, bum, bum. Titanium Man.
Ooh.
Ew.
No, actually, for that one, that's the second part.
The second part. I jumped ahead. My bad.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so that part, basically what happened is that he's fighting the smugglers, whatever case to be, and out of nowhere came the Crimson Dynamo.
Right.
Crimson Dynamo came in because basically it seemed like he was following. He was basically, that was kind of like a setup rouge, so he can get Iron Man there.
Yes.
So he can basically take him out, because as we're saying, we'll get into the Crimson Dynamo at another later time, but basically he had personal vendetta, and he was looking for any opportunity to go after Iron Man. And that's all it was to him. Again, at this point, the world only know of Iron Man and Tony Stark as two separate people.
Right.
No one's pulling the Tony Man at, Tony at the last Iron Man, the first Iron Man, like, I am Iron Man. What? Threw off the dynamic of the MCU. But we won't get into that right now.
Right.
So
exactly. So thank you very much. Yes, you're right.
People.
So he fought and that's what kills me. First time out, after all his training, gets out there, fights Crimson Dynamo, the new Crimson Dynamo in better armor. So Crimson Dynamo's updated his armor. Well, this Crimson Dynamo didn't update the armor. He made better armor than the original Crimson Dynamo.
Correct.
Right. So he updated on the original design. He's the new Crimson Dynamo in there. Vendetta against Iron Man, gets in there. Him and Iron Man start fighting, taking down this boat. That's when the crate falls off. Thank you very much, Rod. Yeah, you did correct me. I'm not perfect, and this is why we have fun with this. So during the fight, Eddie March, Iron Man, holds off the Crimson Dynamo on his first time out in new armor. What? But then gets the crate that fell off the boat, because the Crimson Dynamo starts to leave at the end of this fight to a certain degree. And who comes out of there? Titanium Man. Titanium Man is the Iron Man version from Germany. Crimson Dynamo is the Iron Man version from Russia. And normally Tony doesn't fight the two of them at the same time. But Eddie and the Iron Man armor had to fight Crimson Dynamo and Titanium Man back to back. That's like an AEW, blood and guts match where they got the double rings and everyone's got to jump back and forth. That is a 2-on-1 team up when your tag team partner gets knocked out of the ring and you can't even tag him in. And then you got, the other team, they're just jumping on you like my boys, New Age Outlaws. That's the main guy never took a 2-on-1 at this point. But, against these two. But the new guy has to take on two of his deadliest foes. And if you see Titanium Man's armor, Titanium Man, he's walking bigger in a tank. To get a visualization for anybody, if you remember the very first Iron Man movie, where Obadiah Stane is in that big armor at the end.
And the Ironmonger.
That's right. That's pretty much physically, size-wise, is how the Titanium Man armor is compared to Iron Man. That's how it's always been drawn. That's how it is. And Crimson Dynamo is a little bit smaller. So Tony's the smallest one out of the three, physically wise. But his armor has more power at certain aspects. And Eddie's like, holy crap, I just got out here for like a milk run, so to speak. And here I am now with Dynamo and Titanium. Lord Jesus, help me.
So here's the great thing about this in regards that all during this time, Tony is hearing what's going on. Because when Eddie was going in, Tony was in his ear, because at least Tony is smart enough to understand. Listen, I'm going on a milk run. Again, you have my $1 million suit. Let's just make sure we got this. This is just a little gun rustler, a little gun smugglers. We'll just break it in. So make sure you be on your toes, Eddie. Just watch out and just, got any help? I'm here in your ear. No problem, boss. Then find out what the hell is going on. Holy Toledo, Batman. Eddie, can you hear me? I'm kind of busy right now. Oh, snap. So that's the crazy part that's going on as well. So Tony knows what's going on.
Yes.
Now let's add more flames to the fire. At this point now, Tony is getting a little distracted because someone is now at his front door at the mansion, and he's getting called in from, I don't even know what I will say is Jarvis at that time, but we'll just call it Jarvis for the fun of it. So Jarvis is now in the background telling someone is calling in, need to speak to you right away. I'm kind of busy right now. I'm just in the lab, just quote unquote, I'm in the lab. No. Someone needs to talk to you. Hearing that you hired, you're working with a particular individual by the name of March or something like that, and his doctor from his boxing days, and has some very critical information that is either life or that says basically life or death matters. Like, oh snap, that if something happens, this guy may die. What? So at this point, now Tony now is have to, like, in a sense, like saying, I'm in the middle, I got to take off the headphones, kind of in his own mind is saying, Eddie, you're on your own. I'll be right back. Run down to get this information. The doctor comes up and like saying, hey, I was just talking to Happy Hogan, and he told me that you've employed Eddie for some kind of secret mission type of job. Okay, I kind of like to know what it is, but regardless, whatever it is, if this is something that is very strenuous to him, he can't take a blow to his head. He has blood clots, and any particular or enforcement upon him may result in him being the last thing he sees or feels. Now this just took Tony over. Tony's like, holy snap, what did I just do? Like, he's like upset at himself that he was so adamant in his sense, like he wanted to get on with his life. He wanted to kind of put the Iron Man persona behind him, or at least until he can recover better and at least be able to, because he's basically, as you say, that work life, a family life type of balance. Yeah. He wasn't getting that. That's why he was missing out on, pursuing this relationship with this particular lady that he was interested in. And now they realize that my hands are free. I don't have to worry about being Iron Man. I can pursue my own personal life. But now he felt now at that point that was more personal vendetta for him, personal for him, and he didn't really take the time to really look into the criteria that was, brought upon him, with Eddie and everything. He didn't really do a full background check. Right. Like, do this and this and that. He just like took the man in his word. You're good, which is all good. But he felt bad upon himself that he didn't do be more diligent to find out, okay, Eddie, let's, you didn't be good and everything along that line, but didn't look at that. So now he's like, whoo! His mind is going, he's overbearing, and he's just trying to figure out what he can do at that point.
Right. So, Crimson Dynamo takes his comeuppance. He takes off. Mm-hmm. Titanium Man is beating on Iron Man. He's fighting him back as best as he can. Takes a shot to the head, collapses. Tony Stark has to run out there, find, Eddie, sees him laid out, and it's like, oh no. Gets Eddie over to the hospital. So he dons the Iron Man armor once again.
Yeah, he had an
Gets
old set. He had an old set that he just didn't want to. He just wasn't planning to use, but it was an older set.
yeah,
So basically, at a particular time, if anybody was really focusing, they could have seen two Ironmans at the same time. But thank God for proper paneling and proper being visual. No one was able to see the two panels at the same time except for
right.
readers. So there was
Yeah,
no way to know there was a second Ironman flying around.
no. And now this goes to the brilliance of Tony. So Tony turns around, gets him over to the hospital, gets him out of the armor, gets him over to the hospital, rushes him, tells him, like, look, any means necessary, anything you need, bill it to Stark Industries. That's it, Stark Industries. We have it covered, because he thought, Eddie was dying. And then, as the story goes on, now Tony's taking back the armor. Tony's now chasing down Crimson Dynamo, finds him at his competition's warehouse. That comes out, that gets the fight. Of course, Tony defeats Crimson Dynamo. Tony does defeat Titanium Man, but the story is Eddie March, and Eddie does survive. He gets the operation. He does survive, the blood clots, but unfortunately, he cannot continue as Iron Man.
Correct.
Right. So he does make another appearance later on in that series, a couple of issues later, but not as Iron Man. Just really, it's Eddie March, because Tony tries to give him a job to help, build up a community center in the projects. And that turns into another storyline, but Eddie never dons the armor again.
Right.
Whew. Let me just say, 2 issues, high action, stands true to today. And what I like is this is all pre-Rhodes. Right? Pre-War Machine. Before Rhodes even takes on the Iron Man persona, Eddie March was Iron Man officially. Correct. Not a dream sequence, not anything. Even though it was 2 issues, Juneteenth. I know it's past, but let us have this moment that Marvel back in 1970 gave him this role. And then I know they brought him back in another issue as just as activist. And then they brought him back a little bit later where he becomes this villain called the Freak, not because, he decided to turn bad. He just got hit with the same ray. And Happy Hogan got hit with the same energy that turned him into the original Freak back during Tales of Suspense. So it's almost like a Hulk thing. You get hit with this blue cobalt energy. You kind of lose your mind. You become this crazy, raging beast. That's it. Out of control. So we're not going to hold that. No. I think I would have loved to see some type of mention with Eddie March. In the MCU. They drop a lot of Easter eggs. Even they just said Eddie March boxer or something like that in the background. That to me would have been nice. That would have been really the Iron Man thing. And I say, not over and done yet. So this brings us to the whole thing. That's the story with Eddie March. Thank you everyone for holding on so far. And now we got to get to the fun part. Fan casting it. Ooh, yeah, baby. So here's a couple of thoughts I have. And this one just came to me while we were talking about the show. So I'm looking at my phone here just for one person, because and I know I'm not going to bombard Rod with this one because we didn't prepare for this one. This is just a random thought how it came out.
Oh, cool.
So we had and this is like the cartoon. I like this guy's art style. So if you watch the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, and this is just like a side note, right? So if you watch the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, there's an art style in there, and the art style, the artist that did that art style, I'm trying to remember who he was. We talked about him one time before on one of our older shows where we did Thunder the Barbarian, where I'd say I like that particular artist to animate Thunder the Barbarian. Right. And if you look at that same art style, I think it's Sean. I can't remember his last name. I will find it. I will put it underneath the video. He did some pictures before on DeviantArt, which was, I love his take. I actually have it as my screensaver on Iron Man. So I will put it right now. You're probably seeing it right now as we're speaking about it. I will have his name underneath there. He does have a Twitter handle. So Sean did a whole thing on Thunder the Barbarian. He had that art style where he did as a reimagining of Thunder. He's got a nice picture that he did. If you're seeing it right now of Iron Man that he did. And I think if it had to come back as an animated series, I'd like to see his take with that armor in there. But then let's go through with some of the old school stories from Tales of Suspense and Iron Man Volume 1. That he on DeviantArt, he was like Cheeks 89. And I follow him too. This is so bad. So yeah, this is, you can tell the original doing this right off the cuff of our head. And I'm going to find this before this show is over so I can give this guy proper due and credit, because it was absolute fire. But I know it goes back to our Thunder the Barbarian episode.
Okay. So, well, let me say who I wanted to find cast. Will I give you a chance to look for that particular individual?
Thank you.
So don't worry. So basically, you know what? I'm looking at this character and I'm realizing I got to come from the standpoint of him being an athlete. I wanted to come from the standpoint that he's a boxer. Now you can look at some boxers and you can go with a heavyweight, middleweight type of stature or whatever the case to be. But he needs to be able to look and fit in at least the Ironman suit. He's not a big broadened person. So I didn't go for anyone who was thick and broadened like that. I wasn't planning to go for anybody thick like that. So who I went for was, Jordan Calloway.
Jordan Calloway.
Now, Jordan Calloway, I don't think I've come across his name a couple of times. I'm thinking for other characters. So Jordan Calloway, if you remember Black Lightning.
Yes.
So he was Painkiller.
Oh, okay.
So he was the boyfriend of one of the daughters,
right?
Who had the superpowers with the shooting out the bolts, like the, oh my goodness, now I can't remember what his particular, like I can just projectile. So basically, it's like I can see it. I don't know why I can't even think of it right now. I apologize for myself off the cuff of my head, but I can see him. But the scenario why I was going for him is two things. He has the body, the physique of a boxer. Okay. So when you look at him, he has that physique. Like you can literally say, you could just put him in, put some gloves, put him in a ring, and just basically say, yeah, he can make that persona of being a boxer. Two, in that character, as a character there, he had some he was basically, I think he was suffering from like either depression or anything in that regard, but he has the understanding of someone who's carrying a weight upon him in regards of a personal load, something that was against him. So I was thinking that if anything, he can take that type of energy and then switch that around to say, okay, Eddie, you have this blood clot. You have to be very precise in you got to be careful what you do. But he will be that type of person like saying, I know I have this thing against me, but I won't let it bring me down. I'm going to struggle through it. I'm going to work through it. I'm going to conquer through whatever situation I have. So because he's already had that type of, he's done that type of MO, that type of persona on screen already. I felt that, he could do that as well and be able to, portray that. Now, again, we would like him, like Barry's saying, and when I will agree, like to have a full, he's a character who was on for like 2 issues and then he came on like 2 to 3 times afterwards. Definitely have a shout out, have him as a shout out, see him as a cameo or something like that, have a poster or have a video again, the same way. He went to a boxing match. Maybe it was the MGM, and he's doing a boxing match.
Right.
And he was there. And basically you're seeing celebrities, real life celebrities, you're seeing MCU celebrities, whatever. You see Tony Stark in there, whatever the case is. And you see in the main event, you're seeing Eddie March, having one, fighting for his title, whatever the case to be. And we can have him as the characters taking that role. So that's where my head was like projecting and putting it through. So I was going to go with Jordan Calloway. That was who I wanted to portray as being Eddie March.
Nice. I like that. So I found his name. So the name for the cartoon. So Sean Galloway. That's his name. Sean Galloway. Give that man his dues. He goes by Chicks89 on DeviantArt. I will put up the picture here just to show you what it is. We don't own the picture. We're just showing you so you can see. I think it's a beautiful I like my art a little bit abstract that way, and I like the art style from Spectacular Spider-Man. So Sean Galloway, when you see his art and take on Iron Man, it was really nice and refreshing, and I would love to see that in a cartoon with that kind of style. But give it more of a grittier story tone with that art. Woo! I'm all for it. Getting down to mine now. I hear you with Rod. Now I got you, and here's the guy I picked. So my guy was a little bit bigger. He's a little bit thicker. But even though he has to go in the Iron Man armor, it can be adjusted because in the comic book,
of course, we do.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking at Eddie March, and Eddie March is bigger physically than Tony Stark. So, he still got into the armor, no, regardless of that. So I went with Travis Cure. So Travis Cure, he's done a lot of movies and smaller roles. The one he's most known for is The Oval, which was on BET talking about the White House. He played a character in there. Travis Cure, like you're curing cancer, which I wish. That's the guy I went with. He's got the physique, the look of someone that I would think that would be a heavyweight boxer, but still would fit the times of a heavyweight boxer, where heavyweight boxers could go in there and fight, but then you could see him maybe a little bit more flamboyant as a heavyweight boxer. If you're a boxer of that caliber, you got a little bit of cash. You're going to have, that kind of lifestyle. You're not going to just walk around in jeans and a t-shirt. Look at how Mike Tyson carried himself, George Foreman, how they carried themselves. I'm not saying bad ways. I'm just saying they're in nice tailored suits. They're in, they like right. They're going to go to the finest restaurants. So this guy to me has the look that he's pretty enough, but at the same time, he's got power behind him that he would fit the role of a heavyweight boxer. And I would love to see him as Eddie March. And he still has the look that even outside of that, he's someone that has a social conscience, that he can play that role and be believable. So Travis Cure is my man to play Eddie Iron Man March.
All right. No, I can see it. I know the character. I mean, the actor, in the Oval. Yeah. I've come across that a couple of times, so I know who you're talking about. So yeah, okay. I can see it. Like, I can see it. I know what you're definitely saying. My mind was working on the body structure of him, but I see what you're saying in regards. Again, it's all CGI. It's nanotech. So now you can just, Tony just like taking this off and it's all nanotech. It's all nanotechs. It's all good. Okay.
Got it. So we will wrap this up. So let's once again, Rod, who was your pick for Eddie Iron Man March?
So I'm going with Jordan Calloway.
Right on. You got Jordan Calloway. I got Travis Cure. We want to hear who you guys side with. If it's DJ Rod C, or if it's Barry 3D, or if you have someone else. Now keep in mind that we're still going to say Sean Galloway could still do a regular Tony Stark Iron Man cartoon and come in with a nice fresh take on it. Let's go for it.
Right.
Thank you all for tuning in. We've reached the end of this podcast. Remember, like, subscribe, share. Don't let the show be a secret. Spread it around. We're on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all of that under various names. You can find us. All our links are on barry3d.com. Rod, any final words for the masses?
Listen, everyone, thank you for, chilling with us today. Hope you enjoyed this session. This has been a great episode, and definitely make sure that you hit that like button, that subscribe, share, let everybody know what we got. Feel free, like Barry's saying, just, you got any comments, let us know what you think. If you got any suggestions for anything future, put it in the comments. Let us know. Let us know. We're all there for that. Let's do it.
Right. And I want to shout out some people. So, Mark from the who gave us the map there, the monster map. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think it's Mark. If I've got the wrong name, I apologize. I know Tallulah, she put some comments on there and had a little bit of a discussion. Thank you very much, for putting your thoughts, and we appreciate that. That's the feedback we love to hear. And even though we have different opinions on certain aspects, it was a great, healthy conversation. Even though it was very quick, we do appreciate it, right? Definitely. Jason Reese, obviously, thank you so much. And to wrap this up, remember, I got to shout out Sean, sir, right on. We got one coming for you soon, Mr. Sean Allen. And remember, this whole world was put together by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming.
Let's go. Pew, 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 pew. That's Mutai.
Get him, Rocky, get him. Come on, Eddie. Right. Come on, Eddie, get him.
I'll do it, man. I'll do it.
We're good. I gotta go hit the punching bag. Catch y'all later.
Later. Yeah.